is what they fail to tell you about manifestation techniques, and it's probably going to contradict a lot of what you've heard online, but I've got the evidence to prove it, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to gain success in detail. I can promise you that you will never hear any other YouTube video discussing this matter the same way again. Despite their namesake, despite their reputation, manifestation techniques do not hold the power to manifest. It's one of the biggest myths in this community, which has caused so many people to really disempower themselves. It's why a lot of you are trying every technique available, trying to find the one that will get you what it is you want, but nothing is working because they aren't being used in the way they were originally designed. Not even close. They've been distorted or misunderstood by most content creators who teach them in ways that aren't even aligned with how manifestation actually works, which has placed unrealistic expectations on you to remain in the exact same feeling state as you did at home whilst using them throughout your entire day. And because they've geared your focus towards changing external conditions and other people, you've unknowingly trapped yourself in a painful cycle of waiting until it shows up, whilst you try to resist the 3D world. You must be exhausted, upset, and filled with doubt, because that's all that creates. So we're going to fix that today, so you can use manifestation techniques the correct way, while serving your mental health, because too many teachers have forgotten that we are not learning how to manifest. We're learning how we've always been manifesting. And that makes all the difference to how you live as a conscious manifester, a conscious creator. So what has been made abundantly clear to me over the years, especially as I progress on this journey, is that the mainstream approach to teaching conscious manifestation, what I call stage 1, is based on your state of awareness as a human being. Meaning it operates within the framework of your existing beliefs and belief systems. And they do this because beliefs shape who you're conscious of being. They set who you identify as in every subject, and that's what manifests. Now, a state of consciousness or identity just refers to the way you're seeing yourself and the world around you, based on what you believe is true about who you are and your life. But this is why spiritual teachers like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Rhonda Bryan, Louise Hay, Bashar, all of them focus on altering your human neurology by aligning thoughts with feelings or creating visualizations that allow you to experience being the version of yourself you prefer right now. They know it places you in immediate vibrational alignment with it, because that is who you are now conscious of being. And with repetition, through repeated exposure to you being that version of yourself, it will train your brain to accept that this is who you are, by forming the belief to support it, which means you won't have to consciously manifest it anymore. In other words, eventually you won't have to keep using the technique, because that belief will do all the work for you. It will keep you in vibrational alignment with that new state of being successful, being loved, being chosen, being wealthy, being lucky, whatever it is. Just like your old beliefs kept you in vibrational alignment with being the version of yourself who is rejected, ignored, insecure, left out, struggling, or always getting sick, misunderstood, facing injustice, lacking money, has issues with their family, stuck. So hear this, if you have not manifested what you want, it's because you're still conscious of being the version of yourself that doesn't have it. That's the only reason. And this happens because you are using manifestation techniques to get and not to be. That's what keeps you waiting, checking, resisting, and wanting the 3D to change for years. I see it all the time. I get comments about it all the time. Your state of consciousness is the source of all that is within your world. It's predominantly responsible for how you've always been manifesting, and the 3D will prove it to you. Let me show you. How many of you believe you're always the one who gets rejected, ignored, or left out? Has that continued to manifest? More rejection, more being ignored, more reasons to support you're not chosen? Yes, because you are conscious of being that version of yourself. Has the conscious state of injustice manifested? Not getting a break, things being unfair, always being the one to blame, people not having your back or refusing to apologize or even acknowledge their wrongdoings? Yes, because that is who you're conscious of being. How long have you been feeling stuck, stressed, or limited by money? And what has continued to manifest? More financial stress? More unexpected expenses? Yes, because you're conscious of being the person who struggles with money. How long have you been waiting for that SP, that friend, that parent to change, reach out, or choose you? And has that waiting continued to manifest? Has all this time built up to more wanting what you don't have? Yes, because you're conscious of being the person who is waiting for them to change, reach out, or choose you. If you're in a third-party situation, how long have you been waiting for them to leave so that you can be with your SP? And what has continued to manifest? More of the third-party situation? More waiting? Because you are conscious of being the person stuck in that situation, believing that the relationship they are having must change before you can be with them. Does any of those examples sound familiar to you? Because I get calls about them all the time. You can apply this to any subject. Now, I bring this to your attention because awakening to this realization that there is a connection between who you say you are and the circumstances you face is key. All of it is proof that you have never failed to manifest, that God has never failed to deliver who you are conscious of being. Seeing that evidence, that connection, is what makes the proverbial penny drop. It always creates that aha moment on my one-to-one calls when they realize, wow, I've actually manifested perfectly, albeit what I don't want. It's never been a question of, can I manifest? It immediately gives you your power back because you're able to see that nothing is final unless you choose to permanently remain in that state of consciousness, and it provides the important why behind your use of these manifestation techniques. It shows you that the work isn't about changing outside conditions at all. Because your bank balance, how people are behaving, what they are doing, what they are saying, where you live, your clients, are all acting in vibrational alignment with the state of consciousness you have. Think about it. What else do you expect to see or hear out there? That's why we're told in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So whether you use affirmations, visualizations, scripting, storytelling, or any other method that creates change within you, all manifestation techniques were designed to serve as tools that help you make that neurological shift, that get you to experience being that new version of yourself right now. It is always about manifesting a change in you. And this makes it an easier choice, a more obvious, logical decision, dare I say, to leave out there to what it's doing and focus on your chosen state within. Because when you are busy being, you're not waiting or wanting 3D circumstances to change. There is no inclination or pull to check if it's working or not, because you are it, you are living it, you have it already right now. Out there becomes completely and utterly irrelevant to who you are being within you, because that is the source of all that is. Because you know, you can see it. If a state of consciousness can manifest what you don't want, then when changed, it can manifest what you do want. So this is my exact process that I teach to other clients. It's how I rebuilt the foundations of my entire life, from the type of clients I get, SBs, how people treat me on the day-to-day, travel, deliveries, friendships, the apologies I get, you name it. As most of you know, I post all of my evidence almost daily over on my private Facebook group. If you want to read it over thoroughly, I'll link it below. But this is the exact approach I used back when I manifested from my human state of awareness, which makes sure you're aiding your mental health and manifesting in alignment with the laws. And this was successful every time. Not just once or twice or a few times. I have consciously manifested hundreds, if not thousands of times now. So first things first, and I know some of you might not want to hear this, but it has to be said. I have a duty of care as your fellow human being to tell you this. Any heartbreak, emotional suffering should be processed before you proceed, because they are the symptoms of who you are conscious of being. That's how your human self feels. Denying it, rejecting it, pretending you don't feel heartbroken or distressed is not manifesting. It's making you ill. And only maintaining that state of consciousness you don't like the results of. You have to give up this notion that you are running out of time. No one is going anywhere. You are an eternal being. What you are doing there is not working. You don't have what you want, so there's nothing to lose by taking care of your human self. Love is the fulfillment of the law for good reason. We're very quick to forget that. Your emotions are not the enemy. It is how you are handling them that is, which is why I created a full video tutorial on how you do that, which I will link in the description box below. It can be applied to any emotion you're experiencing. I just made it all about fear in that video. So if you're distraught over 3D circumstances, you've got to process that for the sake of your mental health, because that's how you feel. Too many people are avoiding doing so because they think that once they get what they want, they'll feel better. Or if they acknowledge it, that will manifest, and not what you want. But it's already manifested. That's why you have more and more reasons to feel heartbroken, distressed, and stressed out in the first place. It's already manifested. If that doesn't apply to you, you can go straight to accepting whatever it is that is materialized from your current state of consciousness out in the 3D world. The rejection, the lack of money, your bank balance, the injustice, the fact that you are blocked, disrespected, irritated by family members, neighbours, or any third-party situation. Anything you are facing, accept it all, because it is only evidence God has delivered who you are conscious of being. It is a perfect representation of that which you are now changing. So leave it be. Stop judging it. That's how you drop all resistance to it, by seeing it for what it is, a reflection of your state of consciousness, your identity. Now, you can stick post-it notes around your house, you can make it your phone screensaver, but I want you to remind yourself that who you are conscious of being is what manifests, because that focuses your attention on whom you are changing, you, and where your power lies, your state of consciousness, within you. It's why we are told in Scripture, set your minds on things above and not on earthly things. God's temple dwells in your midst. The power is not out there. It has never been, because His kingdom is not of this world. So whatever manifestation technique you have chosen, you're going to use it to simply experience being the version of yourself that is respected, is popular, who is relaxed about money because everything is covered or due to the amount you see in your bank account, that is loved, adored, chosen, successful, winning awards, whatever. Because in that very moment, that is who you're conscious of being. You are doing it to enjoy emitting the vibration of being that version of you right now, not to change 3D circumstances. Because that's what keeps you waiting for something or someone to arrive. That is not the desired state of being you are after. You are now living that version of yourself in real time, whenever you use that technique. That's where the satisfaction comes from, by reveling in whatever feelings that creates. Because being that version of yourself is what manifests. There's not a ritualistic process you need to follow with this. Do it however little or often you want, but it's never to get, to bring in something or someone. It's always to experience being it now, living it now. And you will find yourself doing it, your mind drifting off to that experience, because you enjoy having that state of consciousness right now. When your focus is on being it, you attract more of it. You'll naturally enjoy being in vibrational alignment with it now. Why do you think Abraham Hicks and Louise Hay speak of focusing on what you already have, however small the amount of money that is, or what you like about the place you live, or what you like about your job or your friends? Because in that moment, you are conscious of being the version of yourself who has what you love or enjoy, and you will attract more of who you are being. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. It aligns with Scripture. This puts you in vibrational alignment with it because you're experiencing being that version of yourself right now. Why do you think my clients who implement self-compassion, which is in alignment with the law of love, and stop suppressing their emotions and bullying themselves in thought and placing pressure on themselves, manifest more change in how they are treated? Get a response from their SP, get opportunities, make contact with loved ones who'd previously shut them out, are treated fairly and with understanding within a week because they're conscious of being loved. They're conscious of being the person who is understood and taken care of and accepted, not the bully, not the person who is pressured, misunderstood, and who suppresses their feelings. Self-acceptance and self-compassion are deeply rooted in biblical principles. God calls us to see ourselves through His eyes, worthy, loved, and created with purpose. But He said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in my weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me." There is nothing wrong with you. You are made in His image. You are God's divine, perfect creation. Christ is in you. That is your highest potential as a child of God. There is no negative feeling that is a problem. Now, I know I've mentioned how long manifestation can take in different instances, but truth be told, I only ever knew the amount of man-made time anything took to materialize, which is usually hours and days, in hindsight. I was too busy experiencing being that version of myself whilst doing the dishes, vacuuming, whilst waiting for a taxi to arrive, that I wasn't expecting the 3D to be any different. It's in alignment with how we've always manifested. Think about it. When you had the car, you weren't waiting for the car to show up. When you were in a relationship, you weren't waiting for it to show up. You were being the version of yourself who's conscious of having it or being it, no matter what the 3D says or does or shows. I knew the 3D world would be in vibrational alignment with the state of consciousness I was now changing. So there was nothing out there that surprised me or disappointed me. Everyone played their role perfectly. All the insecurity, all the low self-esteem, all the injustice, everybody played their part to perfection. I was focused on within by being it, so I wasn't waiting to get or to have anything. I was living it. To look out there for change, to tell you who you should be conscious of being, is disempowering yourself. You're treating out there as the source of all that is, as God, when that divinity is within you. When God responds to who you say you are. Mark 11:2-4. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Being it is believing it. Let me put it to you this way. Have you ever had a dream where you've been fighting with your partner and you wake up angry, like livid or upset? It's because you experienced it. And because you experienced it, you believe you just had that fight with your partner, which is why it takes a while for you to stop being angry with them, or you look to them to convince you otherwise, right? That fight happened according to you, despite what they say in the 3D. Only this time, you're not looking for anyone to convince you otherwise. Stop treating everyone as God, as if they hold the power except you, because it isn't working. It's keeping you trapped. You've not got what you want. That route has not worked. Luke 17:20-21. The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say, "See here," or "See there," for indeed the kingdom of God is within you. That is when the biggest shifts will happen. When you stop relying on the 3D to tell you who you are. Alone, unsuccessful, why you should be upset, why you can't have something, you're not enough, you're always abandoned. If that is who you have been conscious of being, out there can only provide evidence to support it. That's the root cause of why things have remained the same for months or years. Be faithful to your chosen state of consciousness. Take your power back. Don't be faithful to outside circumstances, because God responds to who you are conscious of being, and whether you allow the 3D to dictate that or whether you choose it, that's what manifests. That's why we're told in Romans 12:3, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Do not be conformed means do not shape yourself according to what you once believed based on limited external worldly influences. 1 Peter 1:4, as obedient children, do not be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance. Passions of your former ignorance means before the spiritual awakening that you manifest who you are conscious of being, we all reacted to the world as if it holds all the power. We all believed the bully and the high school teacher and the parent and the boss, because we were unaware of our divine nature and creative authority. But now we do better, because we know better. So no matter the subject you're creating change in, it has nothing to do with what has already manifested out there. That's why it's irrelevant. You cannot serve two masters, Matthew 6:24, which means you cannot treat out there as God over who you are conscious of being whilst trying to manifest a change in you and expect to manifest what you want. Pick a side. Pick a team. That's why you're not being asked to resist, ignore, or avoid the 3D. You're being asked to accept it as the materialization of your state of consciousness, the living example that you reap what you sow. I was out there living it because I accepted it for all that it was. I did not allow it to dictate who I was conscious of being, no matter what I witnessed, because there's no point. I'm not powerless to change it, and neither are you. The only reason why anyone is either checking out there to see if anything has changed or counting down the days they have resisted, checking for movement, that's popular, is because they're using the technique to get, not to be, which means they are still conscious of being the version of themselves who doesn't have it. And you're tired of waiting and resisting who you are. If you were being it, you would have it already. So if you're approaching manifestation this way, you will exhaust yourself and eventually give in. You will check the 3D because it's unrealistic and exhausting. That's why it's not what is being asked of you. What you're doing is looking for evidence outside of yourself to validate a change you haven't fully accepted within. Which means when you do check, nothing will be different. The money isn't going to be there. Your SB is still going to be with someone else, or whatever subject you're creating a change in, because you're not conscious of being that version of yourself you prefer. All the evidence, all the signs, all the movement you are looking for are found within you and are always available to you. There's not one set of circumstances that can enable you to lose hope, ever. So if that happens again, just simply return to the version of yourself you have chosen when appropriate to the subject you're changing. 2 Corinthians 4:18. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. When you're using the technique from this approach, this perspective, it will feel good. It will feel empowering. It will feel freeing naturally. It won't feel like effort. You won't have to force the feeling. Not that it has to, but because you're enjoying the process of being that version of yourself, emitting that vibration. And with repetition, for however long you want, you will permanently emit that vibration without effort. Now, when you witness the unfolding, which you will, don't be tempted to think, oh, it's not enough, or, oh, it's a sign things are coming. No, use that as your cue to persist in being it. Live in the end. before you open your bank account. Accept whatever the amount is, because that's a reflection of your state of consciousness surrounding money, and return to the desired end, which means return to that state where you're conscious of being wealthy or have X amount that you've decided. Whenever you see your SB out there with someone else, accept it all, because they are just behaving in alignment with your state of consciousness surrounding this relationship. You are not manifesting a change in them. That has already manifested. That is not even the version of them you want to be with. Those are not the circumstances you want, so let them get on with it. Instead, return to living the desired end where you are the person who is in a relationship because that is what you want, and you're giving it to yourself right now. There's no waiting. In here has to be more important than out there, and it is a lot easier to understand when you accept and admit the connection. Then get on with the rest of your day. You do not have to maintain how you felt whilst living as that version of yourself throughout your entire day, because you have never manifested that way before. Vibrational alignment isn't about forcing yourself to feel positive all the time. It's about persistently being conscious of who you are in relation to what you currently desire. Feelings are not knocking you out of alignment, negative or positive, unless you say they do. Because you can feel differently, but not believe things have changed. It has always been faith, not feelings, that moves mountains. We walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Your faithfulness to who you are conscious of being dictates reality, not your ever-changing, fluctuating emotions. Let me ask you, when you were in a relationship with your SP, special person, did you feel the love 100% of the time, no matter what your boss said, friend did, state of traffic, how many times you got to Fleur-a-Cold, travel delays? No, you experienced the contrasts of life like everybody does. But you were conscious of being in a relationship. When you had money in your bank account, did you feel financially abundant 100% of the time, otherwise you didn't get paid? No matter if you had an unexpected bill, lost your wallet, or saw someone wealthier than you? No. But you were still conscious of having money. When you were healthy and strong, did you feel invincible 100% of the time, no matter if you got a cold, felt tired, or had a stressful day? No, but you still identified as a healthy person. When you had a job or ran a business, did you feel successful 100% of the time, no matter if a client cancelled or a project failed or you had a bad work day? No, but you still knew you were someone with a career or a business. Hear this, you can feel good, happy, joyful, all the positives, while still being conscious of being single, being in debt, or not having a job. And that's because it's who you are conscious of being that matters. So don't allow the fact that you feel negative about being stuck in traffic to dictate that you are suddenly out of alignment with being conscious of having money, being in a relationship, or having a great job. Stop making enemies in your reality. Accept how you feel. No more judging it as a reason you can't be who you choose to be. Why? Because God cannot give you what you deny yourself. If you do find yourself complaining or getting upset about the subject you're trying to manifest a change in, if you find yourself making up Oscar-winning storylines of how powerless you are, so be it. Your beliefs don't have evidence to the contrary yet. Give yourself grace, but don't keep a record of wrongdoings. Don't allow fear to remove your choice to experience being that version of yourself now. Don't rob yourself. Don't be the thief. God does not expect us to be happy all the time, but He does encourage us to trust Him beyond our emotions. Psalm 35. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. Let them pass. John 11:35, Jesus wept. Feeling sad, overwhelmed, or discouraged is human and normal. If God is not judging how you feel, why are you? Why? I understand that feeling good feels good because it is closer to your true identity, your natural state of being. But right now you have beliefs that are making you feel not so good because they have manifested evidence of your injustice, of you being abandoned, of you being blocked, ignored, broke, in debt, unable to keep money, a job, unable to do whatever you love as a career, unlucky, alone, whatever it is. And that's okay. That's why you're changing them. That's why the evidence of things being different has to come from you, because it can't come from out there. You are not expected to feel that one emotion 100% of the time. I have never manifested like that, neither have you. Nor are they a prerequisite of how you change a state of consciousness. I was in hospital suffering from a nerve death in my tooth and a jaw infection. Yeah, whopper. So I was in pain, on morphine every 2 hours, not an exaggeration, and still manifested an emergency appointment with a local private dentist and the money to pay for it. Even though the 3D, every doctor, every person my mother called, told us that there was a 6-month waiting list and it couldn't be done. Why? Because I was faithful to the state of consciousness where I had the appointment. That was all. God gave us a full spectrum of emotions for a good reason, to apply meaning to this life, to navigate our world, to learn, to change and keep us safe. Not one of them are a problem unless you say they are. Stop deciding, as God, what has ruined your manifestation or not. One of the biggest lessons I have learned whilst living this journey of I Am, which is the biblical approach to becoming a conscious manifester, is that I do not know enough about how God delivers to judge anything as a negative or a positive, including my own emotions. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is what wakes you up every morning. You're never in one emotional state all the time. That stress hormone will wake you up whether you're wealthy, poor, in a relationship or not, because you're alive. You cannot rid your human self of primary emotions either. You need fear just as you need joy. Trying to force yourself to be positive all day, every day has never been the objective, because that's not how God designed you to be. Monks aren't positive all day, every day. They simply observe all of their emotions. They don't judge them as negative or positive, nor do they allow them to dictate who they are conscious of being. You are not trying to make your human self divine I Am consciousness. You may be interconnected on this journey. Before Abraham was born, I am, but you are not the same thing. I and the Father are one, but the Father is greater than I. Now, you will become naturally more positive the more you experience these results, the more beliefs you change. But if you're just starting off, that's not going to be the case. You need to treat yourself as the source of all it is, because you are all of it. Examine yourselves as to whether you're in faith. Test yourselves. Do you not know yourselves that Jesus Christ is in you? Ask yourself, who do you say you are? Who are you conscious of being right now? If you don't like it, experience being the version of yourself who is, who you do like being. That is what gives you the answer, and regardless of how you feel. Thank you so much for all the likes, comments. I love our discussions. I especially loved our last live on God's will. You can't say that I'm shy about discussing these subjects, but I'm also rearranging another live over on the Journey of I Am membership tier where I answer your questions. So check that out in the community tab to be notified. And here is what YouTube thinks you should watch next.